Well, I'm going to start this by saying it is not customary for a law keeper to keep a journal, but I decided to write down my thoughts, letting them find solace on these pages, to prevent myself from going mad thinking on them in these eerily quiet halls of law and time. I find myself constantly lost in thought, a trait I believe I inherited from my father. Oh, where was I? Yes, I was reminiscing about the year 32, a year of great significance. It marked the time when father was the lawkeeper. Not just an ordinary lawkeeper, mind you, but also the bloody god of time. A daunting title that I, Iris, now seemingly bear. This part still confuses me, perplexes me to no end how I came to inherit such a monumental responsibility. But I suppose when the wheel of fate spins, we have no choice but to go along with it. We are mere playthings in the grand scheme of things, aren't we? As I continue to pen down these entries, I have made the decision to use my name, Iris. The grandeur of my title has always been a source of discomfort for me, and I often find myself wishing that people would simply call me by my actual name. It's a simple desire, one that I yearn for with all my heart. Before I lose myself in another one of my ramblings, let's return to the original narrative. The book states that the First Age was a tranquil period. It was a time when events of significance were few and far between. People lived long, serene lives, and as a result, Father didn't have much to do in terms of recording events in the book. The book! I almost forgot to mention the book. My mind is a labyrinth. I swear if my thoughts were not confined to my skull, they would get lost. So the book, where do I even begin? I confess there's a lot about the book that remains a mystery to me. What I do know is that it's a magical parchment that never requires more pages. The quill that I use to write in it never runs out of ink. The binding never wears out, and the clasp never wears. The book, it has a power, a sovereignty of its own. Anything that is written in it comes to pass, and anything that is erased vanishes from the world and memory itself. It's a marvel, truly, but it terrifies me, the power it holds. What if one day I make a mistake? No, Iris, don't think like that. Anyway, sorry about that. Now, where was I? Right, the year 32 marked the beginning of my existence. My father was a mystery, a spectre, a mere figment of my imagination. I had no knowledge of him other than the stories my mother would weave as she tucked me into bed in our tiny but cosy home. The truth is, I knew my mother well, my sweet mother who loved me until the day she decided to abandon me at the magic school in Selinga, that beautiful yet haunting elven city. Her absence from my life was a void I could never fill. I often found myself wandering in my thoughts, pondering about her well-being and safety. I yearned to search for her, to reunite, to mend the estrangement that destiny forced upon us. At times I contemplated searching for her in the mystical book of our ancestors, but to my dismay I realized I wouldn't know where to start. The irony of my predicament was laughable. The gods above could confirm that I didn't even know my own last name. Was I even entitled to one? The existential crisis sparked by such questions often led me down a spiral of negativity. But no, I cannot afford to venture down that path of turmoil again. I needed to gather my thoughts and regain my composure. Perhaps a refreshing cup of tea with my companions, Fangtaker and Cobblestone, would do the trick. My association with the inhabitants of this magical world was somewhat peculiar. They were, let's say, uniquely charming in their own ways. Who could have predicted that a dragon, of all creatures, could possess such a wicked sense of humour? Well, it seemed like my remark didn't go down well with him. The silly creature snagged my quill in a playful rage. But yes, a steaming cup of tea seemed like a promising solution calm my unsettled nerves. With a clearer mind I should return to my writing, to pen down the tales of this mystical world. The soothing touch of the warm teacup did wonders. I feel my senses calming, my mind clearing. Now, where was I? Yes, I remember now. As I previously mentioned, my father was an enigma. He was absent from my life, most probably lost in his own adventures, or maybe his own misfortunes. Mother, despite her shortcomings, always painted him as a noble man. But could a noble man truly abandon his wife and only child? I often found myself questioning his character, his intentions, his existence, but the answers remained elusive. As I stepped into my 20th year, I was bestowed with an unexpected burden. Oh, by the way, you are the new lawkeeper now. Congratulations. It was announced as if it were a grand prize, a reward for my struggles. But honestly, it felt like a cruel joke. From being an ordinary woman with dreams and hopes to suddenly being elevated to the status of a divine entity was overwhelming. This had to be the most absurd reward for any game, known or unknown. Transitioning from a carefree woman with an entire life ahead of her to being thrust into the realm of the divine was indeed a peculiar experience. Like I said, I never knew my father. He was never there, like ever. Mother always said that he was a good man, but what kind of good man leaves his wife and only child like that? I often wondered what became of him. I never found out. All I know is when I turned 20, I was told, "Oh, by the way, you are the new law keeper now. Congratulations!" Like it was some kind of prize for something, like for real, this has to be the worst prize for any game known or unknown. Going from a simple woman that had her whole life ahead of her to basically being a goddess.